Chapter 46. Leone and Tall marched in silence. Whatever evil havoc the wood usually wreaked, it did none of it now. No wolves, bears, or vines hindered their way, though Leone and Tall stayed cautious enough to follow carefully behind the woodsman's footsteps. It was not difficult. He had run with little care for the trail that he made. Leone and Tall also took little care, for their fatigue dragged at their steps and pulled them down. If the woodsman's path had taken them into any form of danger, whether beast or trap, they would have died. Gurgling water sounded nearby, and though their water skins hung empty at their sides, they gave the stream a wide berth. Leonie's lips were parched, her throat dry, and her stomach ached. Every step was pain, and she repeatedly tripped because she did not pick up the toe of her boots far enough to avoid rocks and roots. They passed the place where Victor and Fior died, the ground laid bare, stripped of any evidence of their fight or their companions. When they finally reached the wall, Leone leaned against it and did her best to catch her breath. "Milady," Tall said, leaning close, "are you all right?" "We have traveled for miles and yet to go, no?" Leone called, the words heavy as she spoke them. "I must lighten my load if I intend to make it." There was little for her to lighten other than her sword and chainmail, and she refused to part with her sword. It took a few awkward moments, but eventually she peeled away the scraps of cloth that had formed her outer tunic so she could lift the chainmail from her shoulders. She dumped it to the ground, where it curled itself into a flat ball-like shape. Then she removed the gambesson, the padded shirt that she wore beneath the chainmail. She stood there in nothing more than a thin white shirt, made nearly see-through because of her sweat. Tall put a hand on one of the stones of the wall and used it to stretch her back. "This forest is different now. It's more..." She trailed off. "Normal." "Yes, but I wonder why." The number of questions I have is growing," Leone said, "but I have a distinct feeling there will be little in the way of answers." "Perhaps," Tall said, "but we're halfway there, so we soon may find out." She moved toward a section of wall rising just above their heads. They would need to climb upward to make it out of the deep. It should be a small banner, but Leone dreaded it. "And what will we find when we arrive in Watchful, I wonder?" Leone mused. "Captain Thibault standing upon a pile of Yelmes corpses, or will we find a burned village and an angry woodsman?" "Perhaps just Yelmes," the ranger said. "And that would be a swift death." They worked their way over the crumpled section of wall, and as Leone landed on the other side, she felt the full force of the winter breeze. "Of course it would be freezing," she muttered, wrapping her arms about herself and rubbing herself for warmth. "Here, milady." Tall removed her cloak and held it to Leone. Leone almost waved it away, but then she nodded and took it. The warmth it provided was minimal, but better than nothing. "I had nearly forgotten it was winter. Snow will fall soon." "I can smell it in the air," Tall said. "We have days, perhaps." Leone nodded. She could smell it too. Snowfall is the last thing we need. "The road back to Terce Regis will be terrifying enough, but snow may make it a death march, Your Highness." Leone sighed. "Let us be off, Ranger. One death march at a time." "Deus, help us." Tall had walked ahead, eyes fixed on something behind a large tree. "What?" Leone asked, not bothering to quicken her pace. Tall shook her head. "Yelmes, Your Highness. Dead ones." Birds chirped harmlessly in the treetops above as Leone approached, her hand wrapped around the hilt of her sword. Involuntarily, a dark one, in the form of a man, lay on its back, eyes lifeless, mouth agape. There was no blood, though, and no wound that Leone could see at all. With her boot, Leone rolled the corpse over with a kick, checking the back. "Died of shock?" Leone wondered aloud. "Not unless they all did," Tall said. Leone looked up and saw a handful of other dead Yelmes littering the ground around them. At least one bore a bloody wound, an arrow in its chest, but the rest appeared to have simply lain down and died. A tree had cracked and fallen in the midst of all of them, blackened and fried at the break. "Did Oli do this?" Tal asked. "These are his tracks, and the way the leaves are disturbed shows a struggle. And the tree, of course." Leone shook her head. "Perhaps Deus has not forsaken us after all." "I wonder if it is right to attribute Oli's power to the Maker," Tal said. Then she put her finger to her forehead in prayer and mumbled to herself in Badawai. "Come," Leone said, "Deus or not, our woodsman has power, and this power is a little hope, at least."